projects. The minister went on further to celebrate the Prime Minister's swift and decisive action in pausing the Durbanch project, according to her. But this mischaracterizes a reactive scramble as responsible governance, due diligence, environmental impact assessments, and regulatory compliance, which are meant to occur before projects begin, not midway through construction after environmentalists and ecologists sound the alarm. Further, the claim that the government continues to monitor the marina development and understands the importance of our dive sites strains credibility. If genuine monitoring were occurring, how obvious and extensive sedimentation continue unchecked for such an extended period? The minister's assurance that remediation will be expedited to address deficiencies is particularly galling. It amounts to an admission that damage has occurred on her government's watch, despite their supposed monitoring. This is not oversight. This is negligence followed by damage control. The minister points to the international airport and Cabrit's Marina as examples of development paired with environmental management and strong regulatory oversight, but also when the relevant environmental assessment reports, if any, have not been released to the public. What regulatory oversight exists when citizens cannot review any environmental analysis supposedly guiding these massive projects? What we are witnessing is a devastation wrapped in development language. Ecosystems that took millennia to evolve have been obliterated by foreign bulldozers in a matter of months, all in the name of progress. The physical evidence surrounds us. It is clear: sediment-laden rivers, damaged reefs, cleared forests, disrupted watersheds. These are not abstract environmental concerns. They represent the systematic destruction of Dominica's most valuable and irreplaceable assets. In view of the realities, the UPP is calling on the government to account for the reckless mismanagement of our land, our waters, and our natural heritage. Environmental stewardship cannot and ought not to be reduced to press releases and reactive interventions after public outcry. Dominica's identity as the nature island must be more than a marketing slogan. It must be a commitment reflected in every development decision, every project approval, every regulatory action. Our natural environment is the foundation of our economy, our food security, our food supply, our water supply, our future. Once destroyed, it cannot be restored by press releases or belated remediation efforts. We therefore call on this government to immediately implement transparent environmental review processes, release all relevant assessment reports to the public, ensure adequate compensation, establish genuine regulatory oversight with enforcement capacity, because the people of Dominica deserve better than reactive governance and damage control masquerading as environmental stewardship. We in the United Progressive Party demand accountability, transparency, and a fundamental change in how this government approaches development in our nature island.
That was the spokesperson for the UPP, Mr. Joshua Francis. Again, more reactions. And Devonsh will come under the microscope again at a public meeting in the Carib territory sometime later this afternoon. So, but for now, let's listen to a few, I'm sure, messages here. 154, hello, talk to me.
Matt, good afternoon to you and your listeners at home and abroad.
Good afternoon to you, my brother.
Yes, I endorse the statement I just heard from Mr. Francis. And similarly, the Freedom Party had a press release issued to the media last week on the same matter. I listened to the press conference this afternoon from the Prime Minister. And the problem with this Prime Minister, he don't seem to understand in modern politics, modern governance, that he is representing a country and a people. and is elected to take care of a people, to take care of a country, to respect the rules and the laws that govern the country and that makes for democracy. He spoke about the question of coming together. Dominicans, by and large, have been very, interested in their country, love their country, and want their country to go forward. And therefore, Dominicans always see the need to participate in developmental activities, not being spectators in this, but being participants in the process. And any democratic government would understand that. With the government's sole lack of discipline, you write to the Prime Minister, no response. You write to the Electoral Commission, no response. You write to certain government department, no response. And many of us, including myself, who are in organizations, in government, I serve in government, and I know I acted minister on many occasions. I was a parliamentary secretary. And when letters come to our ministry, we reply. And the PSAs in those days were very active to ensure that when a letter comes addressed to the PS, when a letter comes addressed to the minister, it comes to the minister secretary, you read the letter and you respond. The Prime Minister, I can speak for Ms. Charles. When she was Prime Minister, she responded. To Ms. Sutton, I say a government that does not respond to things, they ignore you. In fact, we do our very best to have a meeting with the Prime Minister, and they ignore us. We never even acknowledge that. We wrote 2 letters to the Chairman of the Electoral Commission, no response. 1 letter to the Chief Elections Officer on the matter of confirmation, no response. So how you call for unity, for togetherness in development, and you are so blatantly ignoring people's interests and involvement. And when you have a major project for a country, the role of government is to bring the people together to discuss the issue and to get the people's support on what you're doing. That's what you call public participation in a democracy. You don't start out saying, for example, you live in an area, you build yourself there for years, you grow your children there, you plant your food and whatever there, you exist there for years, and all of a sudden you just hear bulldozers working and so forth. 2 young people came to me and asked me, can I ask you a question, Mr. Boston? I said, yes. I heard the Prime Minister said that he should not be kind to those who are trying to stop the airport. So he said to me, do you know what they're looking for at the Bosch? Because when you build an airport, the excavation you do on the site, you secure the dirt and the material for if you need it to be used in the construction. You don't throw it away and then you're somewhere else looking for dirt and looking for stuff. I don't know exactly what they're looking for there, because the 2 young guys said they have power. The dumpers taking the sand from the Debauch area there, and they're dumping the sand right next to a bar, and the stretching of a bar. They dump this inside there and so forth. So if the sand is for the airport, why would we be dumping the sand there? It must be something else they're looking for, and so on. So if you have discussion and you involve people, obviously people will defend the project, people will support the project. We're done. As agencies involved, or government involved in those things, will be together. When you do things like a zombie, a thief in the night, and then you come across and accuse people of not wanting development, as well, you are the only person. Skerrit is about 50-something, and the person much older than Skerrit, and they too have been involved in participation of development of Dominica. What you come across as is you are the only person in Dominica's history. In other words, they have discovered the country. In fact, they're even better than Christopher Columbus, because the country had nothing, the country had no people, the country had no infrastructure, the country had no resources, and and when they look, everything just come into place. I mean, that is utter rubbish. And then you're on radio now trying to accuse people. You know, the worst thing in life is a person who wrongly accuse you, lie about you. You then develop a kind of reaction to that person. So if the Prime Minister and the government lie about those of us involved in the process and so forth, don't engage us, feel that we have no importance. So the Prime Minister left here and went to Trinidad to discuss crime, draw up and invite the opposition and other groups in the society to discuss crime and see how to not a government business. Crime is all of us business, how we can work together to kind of solve the situation. Not even that. I mean, Rosie Douglas, when he was Prime Minister, there was an issue to do with the banana industry. He invited Charles Freedom Party. He invited Edison James, who was leader of UWP, to discuss the matter and how they seek financial assistance to help the farmers. You had Ms. Sharp as Prime Minister engage opposition. We met with Rosie Douglas in cabinet when they had an issue with the board. All opposition invited Savrin as chairman of the, now the CSA at the time, and discuss. That is the only government that don't see engage or are different from this. And it looked like in Dominica those days. For you to be a part of development, you have to be. If not, you are an enemy of the state and you're against. I think the Prime Minister must stop that. He must enter 2026 with a new attitude, a new understanding and appreciation. I think he's not an environmentalist, so maybe we don't know much about the environment. But let those who know it deal with it and then the society and create, because what is doing is creating more division among people, among the society. Because all of us, whether AWP or whatever we are, UPP, we have to exist in our country and work together to make our country better. So I want Prime Minister, throw away your old ways, your dirty ways, to 2026 with a new attitude, a new vision, a new understanding that development in every society, a democracy will have different players in the theater, and therefore you must respect them, you must appreciate their contribution and ensure that together we can exist. When election time comes, we'll all fight, we'll put our plans together, our policy together, and we'll work, and the electors will decide. When that is as decided, everybody must be represented. You know, they have a situation where they will share ham at Christmas. Poor people will not deliberate straight. In Antigua, my experience in Antigua is that they give everybody a ham and a turkey, but here they choose and they call for unity. I mean, I don't say too much, I have a quote I will read to you at any time, what a true and Christian leader ought to be. He ought to focus on the people, not have humility, and of course, when the person exercises that level of Christianity in their leadership, then of course you can be safe with them, within you and within your country. Thank you so much, Matt.
Thank you. Also heard from Mr. Benoit on that issue there, Rue des Branches. Mr. Benoit. Are you there, caller? Yes, sorry about that. Dave Wash under scrutiny, boy. A big meeting to be held at the Canada Territory tonight with the experts to explore further. Let's take a phone call. Are you there, caller?
Yeah, good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
Matt, I called to ask you a question, but before I must commend you. I commending you because whenever somebody call and they call the Prime Minister mad, he's a madman, you say, no, don't say that because they are not psychologists. Whatever word you're using, Matt. And Matt, I commend you for that because you're not a doctor, they are not doctors. But Matt, can you ask the Prime Minister for me, please, whether his thinking ability is at the state of declivity or has it been declined? Matt, didn't you hear the Prime Minister saying that he can go anywhere in Dominica, Lord have mercy, anywhere without no security, Matt? Matt, did you hear him say that today?
I think they did, yeah.
Yeah, Matt, is that true? Matt, is that true? Matt, when I thought when guy was in Dominica, when he saw the Prime Minister passing, he came up and he said, man, Dominica is at war. The amount of security he does have, and he's coming and he is saying to us, your Prime Minister, my Prime Minister, our Prime Minister, Matt, that he can go, Dominica is so safe, he can go anywhere in Dominica without security. Matt, is he telling us the truth, Matt? So can we believe anything he said in that press conference, Matt? For me, everything the Prime Minister said is a no. Thank you, Matt.
All right, thank you very much. 449-3095-96 and 97. Hello, talk to me, yes?
Good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon to you.
Matt, can you go by the side here alone? Can you know what he's doing? Damage the country. Damage the country. I don't care what the Chinese get. You get copper. What else they're looking for. You don't care. You don't know how the country running. You must stop him, Mr. immediately. That's all about it.
Thank you. 210 is at the afternoon time. There's an overconfident messaging that dismisses our local experts in their respective fields, like our ecologists by this government. No wonder there are no solutions to the issues plaguing the country. We are witnessing political theater, not true leadership, which is governed by substantive policy. Environmental policy expertise is not the part of the response as it pretends to dewash. All the speeches mean nothing without the expert's voice. And we need the experts there. And I'm hoping that we get some responses there. Tonight, there's a special meeting there in the Carib Territory. Are you there, caller?
Hey.
Sorry, yes, sorry.
Yes.
I'm right here, sir.
Good afternoon, man. Yes. I didn't even forget that joke about him when he played like with a joke. I don't believe, but I want him to believe that I'm going around the place, that's true around the place. He alone. Yeah, man. I don't know direct what your topic on, but the election yesterday.
No, but we spoke about that this morning. We're talking about Dave Wash and what's going on there in Dave Wash at this time, okay? So we'll continue that discussion, leadership, and what happened yesterday sometime. Hello, talk to me, yes? Uh-huh.
Hey, Mr. President, good day, man.
Good day to you, bro.
I heard upwind from Roosevelt Carries a while ago talking about the agouti and the manikou and these things and how easy they are. They right in the midst of people. But tells you, one of the things that Roosevelt Carey is not alerting to is that his failure in leadership where agriculture is concerned caused the animals to come down to society to look for food. Before times, you had farmers with gardens in the forest. The animals used to feed up there. But now, have you seen as much birds as before? Birds are gone. When you have a leadership, Matt, have you seen much butterflies and all these little insects and these things that used to pollinate our crops and these things?
No.
No. Because all these things disappear because there is no agriculture on that level. Birds died and birds disappear and animals coming down to closer to society or civilization to get food to eat. So when you're talking about people, it's not people that build it in the forest. It's because of his lack of leadership, his failure in leadership that did not maintain the agricultural industry that causing animals to come closer to society to look for food. On the other hand, why does it have to take so many mountains to do an airport? That's the other question I have. You remember the mountain they cut on the north up there? In that little village right up on the north? To bring, when you pass Calibishi, come down, when you're going down to Portsmouth, they cut a mountain in a little village over there. To bring back to Westcliff for the airport. Now they're talking about they cutting another mountain again to do. Mad boy, I tell you what, this is a mess. Anyway, thank you very much for the opportunity. Yeah.
The Prime Minister seemed convinced that this Debonche is the best place to excavate, you know. Oh boy, 2:23 is the afternoon time as we continue to put under the microscope this the Debonche saga, environmental saga taking place at this time. We have geologist Lennon Matthew, Dominican based in the United States, that has reviewed many international and mega projects. And I'm sure he's been monitoring just what's going on there in Debonche, and he may have his own views, as we have heard before, very concerning views. And he just heard the Prime Minister for the past few minutes. Lennon Matthew, what's your take on what you're hearing now? Good afternoon to you, sir.
Matt, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to your listeners. Happy Monday. Matt, I'm gonna be I am laughing because the last what I just heard you played there, the Prime Minister said, put Dominica first and not personal motivation. And I had to chuckle at that because not person you called me, right? And I have been vocal about what is happening in Dominica for a government who's in office for 25 years. And now we are seeing a discussion about the destruction of the environment. Matt tells you, if Dominicans go to the government website and take a look at the forestry laws, that is, and a document that is signed by the current minister in the Carib territory, Kozia Frederick, they will see all what is required of the government, put in place by the government as it pertains to environment, the destruction of environment, mentioned quarrying, and it is signed by Honorable Kozia Frederick. And I mean, what we've been talking about is not something that we ask out of the blue. It's what the government requires. Matilti, the Prime Minister have had a reputation of lying to the people of Dominica. And I'm going to say he's lied to the people of Dominica in Parliament. He went to Parliament and said they were putting money aside for the international airport. And when questioned about it, said there was only $260 left. Matilti, nobody in Dominica knew what happened to that money that was put aside. Matilti, we were also told by the Chinese government that they don't get involved in the construction of international airport, and that's on the record. You could find it. I'm not making these stories up. And then eventually we heard that they were going to sell citizenship by investment to build an international airport in the tune of $1.something billion. Matilti, the Prime Minister has spent the past 10, 15 years sending young people to school so they can get an education. And if you are investing so much in people's education and you are doing these things without question, then I think you have just wasted a lot of money on educating a bunch of young Dominicans, if that's the way we are proceeding with development. I was fortunate enough to be on a discussion a couple of years ago with the community of Westfleet, and as it relates to the international airport. And the discussion was the importance of doing an environmental impact assessment so that when construction starts, you would have already thought of all the things that could have happened, put the mitigating measures in place. And part of an EIA is to have the public consultation. So all the things that the Prime Minister mentioned about trees and Manikou and how he's increased the population of Manikou of Agouti in Dominica while the population of Dominica is decreasing. So it seems like the Agoutis are more important in the productivity of Dominica than the people, because he boasts of how the population have increased and they're living among. So all these things that the Prime Minister have talked about should have been discussed prior to the start and construction of the international airport. That is what people have been asking. And if I put Dominica's interest first, what that would have done, Matilti, is we would have gotten a proper costing. We would have prevented desiltation. We would have respected the laws and the Constitution of Dominica, the laws that require an EIA to be done prior to these things. They are not putting law just for going to parliament. They are putting law so that when you are using the country's money, if you account for these things in the long run, you would have curtailed the cost or be efficient with the spending of the country's money. You see where I'm going with that, myself? So when I hear Roosevelt Skerrit comes and rants and raves in a public meeting, all I'm hearing is a gentleman who has said no law, no constitution. And his demeanor and his expression basically tells the people of Dominica, you guys can see what the hell you want. You can talk about environment as much as you want. You can say whatever you please, but I am going to let my friends, the Chinese, build this international airport. Jump high, jump low. I don't care how many trees are destroyed. I don't care. He tells you he doesn't give a rat. While the laws on the environment, that is what's happening. And I'm not saying this because I don't have any. It's not personal motivation. I'm not running for election in Dominica. I'm not benefiting from the state purse. I'm not asking them to do any favors for me. I'm not here depending on a government to give me food, clothing, and shelter materials. So there's no personal motivation except the respect of the laws of the country of Dominica. Except that the government of the day has to understand that their responsibility to the people of Dominica through the laws they establish in Parliament, and you then cannot violate the laws because there are consequences. And if he doesn't understand that, like I have said, he made himself an emperor, and nothing people say bothers him. It's what I see, and that's what goes. And in the same breath, he's asking for people to be involved, yet still when they get involved, he's mad. We're not asking for anything, except to follow the rules and the laws. And the reason why you do that is because at the end of the day, they have to be accountable to the people. But let me give you a perfect example. The facts are, the government said it's going to spend $1.2 billion on the construction of an international airport market. Wouldn't it be prudent if that $1.2 billion is circulating through the economy in Dominica, which would help social security, which would help the people of West Sea, of Marigot, of Benz, of Calbishi, which would help the economy in the country? You would have seen young people who have left Dominica and gone to Antigua and St. Martin and these places coming back because there is going to be work for them for $1.2 billion. Wouldn't that be the goal of a government? Instead, what we see, a bunch of young men killing each other because they have nothing else to do, no hope, when there is the largest infrastructure project in the country. And the Prime Minister has the audacity to come to talk down to the people he's supposed to serve in Dominica. And here's the deal, Matilde. He's a psychologist, but he criticizes a geologist who has experience, 20 years plus experience in doing this kind of work, but he's a psychologist. and if it's not a fool's paradise, I don't know what is, Matilde. So when I hear the utterances of Roosevelt Skerrit does what he does best. He comes and berates the people for being active in their affairs. He comes and he belittles the people who tell him what he's doing is wrong because that's what the gentleman has done for years. That is his personality and his character. I've known this guy since he was probably 19 years, teaching at Boston Secondary School. He lacks the temperament, he lacks the foresight, and he lacks every character that is needed to be a good administrator. And what I would like to ask the Prime Minister is to put Dominica first, and not for your personal motivation. Respect the law, respect the Constitution, and respect the people of Dominica. And then until then, we will see true growth, because you have been in office for 25 years, and nothing you say matters except the data, the information, and where our country is in this global affairs.
I'll tell you, thanks again, 232. Yes, and I'm getting some word there, interesting word that, the geologists on island may have some very interesting information for you, PM. So maybe you take, maybe you should be at the meeting there in the Calango territory later this afternoon, 5 o'clock to be exact. Yeah, they may have some very interesting news you may not like, but they'll reveal what's going on. We're gonna come back after this. Dominica, we here. This is the talk on the block. If it's on the block, then we'll talk about it. Those of you in the Kalinago territory, listen to the experts this afternoon there from 5. Adebarana Ote exploring the issues on the environment. And Dewash what have the experts found? What will be disclosed? So the subject for this afternoon there, protecting Dominica's lands, rivers, and people, an evening of education and celebration. Tonight, 5 p.m., or this evening, Kalinago Barana Ote. Learn from Caribbean scientists and Kalinago leaders. Let's go back to the telephone at this time. Yes, it's 2:42 already. Talk to me. Yes?
Good afternoon, Matt.
My brother, how you doing? How you doing? Yes.
Matt, I'm doing good, notwithstanding the degradation that is going on in the Wesley constituency and the fact that the Wesley people are living on a construction site.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were promised by the Prime Minister that he was going to pay off the property owner and then hand over the property to the developers. That has not happened because he refuses to complete the payment of property owners. But Matt, I listened to the Prime Minister and I was a little disappointed in you because you didn't play the Prime Minister telling the Dominican people we do not need an international airport. We cannot afford an international airport. He even brought down Ralph Gonzalez to Portsmouth in a massive Labour Party rally, attempting to convince the Dominican people that we do not need an international airport. An international jet airport for Dominica is very important. That is why from its inception, the United Workers' Party have been talking about an international jet airport for Dominica. But what the Prime Minister failed to do is spend a few years doing the preliminary work associated with the construction of such a massive infrastructural project. I want to admit that the Prime Minister, that the Prime Minister has failed to do the feasibility study. When you're building a house for somebody, a house that value $400,000, $500,000, $1 million, you have to spend about 6 months to a year getting planning approval. The Prime Minister must inform the nation and remind the nation that it's 25 years he is in government. Are you suggesting to me now, up to now, a feasibility study has not been what guiding the development of the project, what guiding the execution of the project? The Prime Minister is saying they're going to put this and they're going to put that now to mitigate the impact. No, we cannot accept that. We will accept the fact that the west coast of Dominica has been affected by mining, that let us continue the process there. But we cannot come to the northeast and destroy a vital aspect of our tourism product, the river tubing, because we know that our airport is important for us. Matthias Pelted Jr. a few years ago, the Chinese developers destroyed the Woodford Hill Beach, putting a jetty there, claiming falsely, of course, it was to transport building material to the site for the airport. The Woodford Beach is about 2.5 minutes from the actual construction site. What has happened? Why? The developers have failed to transport material via boat into the Woodford Beach, Bay Area, where they destroy it, bringing in hundreds of probably tons of material, throwing stone and sand onto the beach, claiming, I remember a prominent historian saying, Lennox Honeychurch, Dr. Honeychurch, claiming that the Labour Party had vision that how much years ago they had a jetty, and now they're going to put back a jetty there to save our road network so that the material can come in there. But no, all he's talking about is saving cost. We don't even know the true cost of the airport and who is going to benefit from the savings he's talking about. So yes, he has admitted that he was not transparent enough. But more than that, he must explain to the Dominican people that how much money is expected to be saved by destroying the environment in the Northeast. How much money is expected to be saved by destroying the village of Wesley, and who is going to benefit from the money? You understand where I'm coming from, Matt?
Mhm.
Anyway, thank you very much. I support, the Wesley people support fully the investigation and the demand from the government of Dominican Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, the dream killer, as to what can be done to prevent the destruction of the Pegua area, to prevent the destruction of the Congo area, and to ensure that Dominica continue to remain the nature island of the Caribbean.
Thank you, Steve. One forester says here, but I just heard the clip from the Prime Minister on Agouti. Seriously? The situation currently faced with Agoutis roaming in residential areas and communities is a strong indication of what has happened to the current state of agriculture and the impact of Hurricane Maria on their habitat and food supplies. And therefore, reasons these animals have moved away from the forest to communities and areas where there's famine to find food. And you're crying about a geologist? The geologist has news for you. Definitely not what you want to hear, PM. I guess we'll find out, huh? The big meeting planned for inside poor planning. Look, Charles Douglas Airport already facilitating bigger airline services. $248. Hello, yes.
But Dominican by now know that Skerrit is not doing things rightly. If you think what he want to do, he do it. Because don't where they have the Macadam, there's a copper there. Where is copper, there's gold. And let the Chinese look at what they want. Chinese give them all right, do what they want. But they pay for it. That's all about it.
$2:49 in the afternoon. Hello, talk to me, yeah?
Mr. Pell, good morning. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I heard you in a press conference with the Prime Minister, and he told you he don't know where to put the crusher. Can you give him an idea Or do the engineers locally you can hire to get a spot to put the crusher without up there?
You asked me to ask the engineers where they're going to put that crusher. That's what your point is?
No, that's what I heard he said. Nobody can tell him where to put it. So I was finding out if there is nobody besides these government engineers that can describe a place for him. I told him down in Marigot at the top of Londonderry there by the livestock in Londonderry, this is the best place for it. They don't have to build blocks. They don't have to do all those things there. So I told him, get the young people from Marigot that have equipment that can help him, like Garden, Abraham, Elvanson, Sons and them, and let them help him to do those work, because these Chinese people can't do all the work, and the Chinese people don't know the area up there. There are a lot of stones, a lot of places in Marigot, but you don't know. You have to open the road from the below under the West schools. You have some dry gutters there with plenty of stones. So you need to go down on the ground and get the people. Dayton Baptist knows about the area, his former senator. These are the guys that do all the work after the Chuffy, 2022. These are the guys who clean up all the landslide. They know where all the stones is. So get these people, build a batch jetty at Londonderry there. I told him that already. And I tell him, come down on the ground and deal with the ordinary people. You get better work done.
All right, caller 251. Somebody's reminded me of what Mr. Honeychurch, the historian, said a couple of years ago. Let's go back to that. The historian, yes.
Good day. I'm here on the Woodford Hill Beach, and we are going to be viewing one of the early works related to the landing of equipment for the international airport. For the last week, there has been excavation taking place. You can see behind me, a ramp is being constructed to go down to the bay, actually on the seafront, so that barges carrying the heavy equipment for excavation and other works at the airport can then be loaded on from here. So the platform is going to be extended. We can see the work that has already been done in this area, piling up river stones which have come from Melville Hall, and now they are packed up here to the ramp. The ramp is going to continue and then end up in the sea here. Over across is a gap in the coral reef, and barges will come through there and then land on the beach, open up, and all of the heavy equipment and materials and so will be coming up. This is not the first time that this place is being used. It is the site over on the other side of a Kalinago village, so that you had movement of canoes and movement from island to island taking place here. But also during the plantation period, this area was a main port. And in fact, behind me over here, there were sections where there was a fort to defend the bay. And also you get the remains of bollards, big heavy iron bollard there to tie up the canoes. So this is essentially what is going on at present. The last week or so, there has been a lot of intense activity on this site to bring in the material and to build up the ramp. The ramp is going to continue behind me here and then go out to sea, and you will have the landing of the barges and the offloading of the heavy equipment. So they will not have to cross the island on the roads, on the more narrow roads, and they only have about quarter mile, half a mile to go until they reach the beginning of the excavation for the runway, which extends from just above us here at the banks of the Woodford Hill River in the vicinity of the old East Plantation House. And then it goes all the way through Bottom Wesley, then coming out at the end of Londonderry Beach, which is more like commonly known as Cabana. Now, as I mentioned, Geest, have to be reminded that Geest equipment was also landed here. They had a few D6 Caterpillars, and they came in also by barge and landed here and then went to work the estate in the big banana boom days. We also had landing here of a regiment, British regiment, who were doing rainforest exercises up behind Governor Estate, up in the forest, and they landed here also in the 1960s. So it has been a bay that has been very active indeed, and now it is being reused to land equipment for the international airport. I'll be keeping you up to date over the next few months as developments take place in this area.
Mr. Honeychurch, can you give me an update as to why this bay has not been used there, sir? Just, of course, just a question. That was the plan. So what has happened? What has happened? Can this same bay be used to export or to import the material from the other side of the West Coast or on the West Coast? Just a question, sir. Because you did promise some updates. So what's going on with the updates now? Duval Dayer. Hello, talk to me. Interesting.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good afternoon to you, sir. How are you doing? Yes.
Matt, everything for Roosevelt Skerrit seems to be a joke. Everything he make a joke out of it. Or the Agouti community look me DDT and everybody in their laughing with him like it's a joke. Anyway, Matt, I was listening to Roosevelt Skerrit and his argument is that anywhere you build, you're going to have impact on the environment.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to Vietnam, if you go to Portsmouth, blah, blah, blah. But Matt, you have any idea if anywhere in Portsmouth or Vietnam was designated by the planning unit for a quarry or anything to that effect?
I have no information on that, no.
Exactly. So Matt, we have areas in Dominica that are designated as quarries already. And I heard people say, sometime last week, I heard people calling to your show and say that Ghana can build a project in Guadeloupe, Martinique, and all the material came from quarries in Dominica.
I heard that, yes.
Exactly. So, Matt, we could export stones to Guadeloupe, but we cannot take stones from the West Coast and carry them to the East Coast. But the stones don't necessarily have to be trucked, because there are jetties already on the West Coast where the same barges come and dock. So then you just do the same thing on the East Coast, and you transport the stones or whatever material it is via sea.
And you're making a good point, because Mr. Honeychurch just said the bay was used before.
Exactly. So, Matt, the issue, you know why we're having this issue now, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
Is because this international airport project was never planned properly from inception. Had you planned from inception, you would know you need this type of material, where you would need to get it from, what the cost would be, and all these sort of things. But now all Roosevelt Skerrit is talking about the cost. Roosevelt Skerrit is even talking about should we import it from overseas, but we have it in Dominica. The point is, you don't want to get it from where you're supposed to get it. You understand what I say, Matt?
Mm-hmm, I understand.
And how it is that they know that the area where they're digging right now, how it is they know that there are stones and that sort of thing. There's a reason why this area is protected. You're just not supposed to touch it. But had you planned properly in the first place, Matt, then you would have known you would have to take the material from the West Coast and carry it over the East Coast, and you would have to put in the necessary infrastructure. But everything is back to front. And the thing about it, Matt, if everything they're doing is about board and is how it's supposed to be done, why is it that they put a halt to what they're doing? Because they keep saying they do all kind of environmental impact assessment, but then people raise concerns about something and then you stop it. So if everything you're doing above board, why did you stop it? Why did you halt it for the time to reassess what? You already said everything you're doing is okay. So what was the reason for halting it?
Thank you, Matt.
All right, thank you. I see a track trend in there. Let me play this one there for you. Yes.
Yeah, amazing again. Dominica crying right now. Too much pain in the streets. Yes, listen. Sirens in the night, mama can't sleep. Another youth gone, candle on the street. 2 weeks ago, Wesley heart broke down. Young life feared, silence hit the town. Today the news make the nation freeze. Double murder headline, everybody weak. We asking why, what we proving now. Gun talk loud, but love gone quiet somehow. Every trigger pull tear family apart. Every bullet leave a permanent scar. We all bleeding, whether rich or poor. This cycle of violence we can't ignore. Put the gun down, make peace rise up. Dominica hurting, we already know. Stop the violence, every you them life. One island, them didn't strike. Put the guns down, choose a better way. No more mothers crying at the break of day. We need hope now, we need unity. Dominica strong when we live peacefully. You them hungry, system feel tight. No jobs, no vice, just raging at the night. But gonna solve what we create. One bad choice, still a man fate. Brother kill brother over pride and fear. Graveyard full of dreams, never reach the air. Talk it out, put the weapon on.
Put the weapons away. That's the track, huh? Hello, talk to me on the telephone. You there? Yes?
Yes, I am there. I just want the people of Dominica to know that you're being ruled by modern day slave masters that will do anything to stay in power, even bring in foreign forces to take them and use bullets on them. And they will even go as far to say they have their Navy SEALs and to threaten people. You know what Navy SEALs carry, Mr. Peltier? Navy SEALs carry heavy weapons. So this morning you try to make an excuse for that woman. You said she didn't say she had weapons. She didn't say it. I know she didn't say she had weapons. But if she says she have Navy SEALs and snipers, they have weapons. And this is what the Navy SEALs carry. I serve in the military, so I know what the heck I'm saying. Don't let these idiots fool you or fool Dominicans. Thank you.
Oh, but caller, let's be reasonable. I can interpret what she said, and I'm saying what she said. So, yes, the Navy SEALs and snipers carry heavy weapons. But there's a big question. Did she say that? Somebody's making a point, man, just asking, why can't material stones be banned from the West Coast, say from the Point Michelle Quarry to the Woodfiddle site or dock? The airstrips in Guadeloupe and Anguilla were done with aggregate from Caribs and sand and stone. But the bypass, the company, a local company, yes. Let's see if we can get a voice note here.
Good afternoon, Matt. What's up? Everything is okay with you?
For now.
Well, just listening to the Prime Minister from his conference or whatever you call it. It reminds me of when the credit union used to be having its annual general meetings and stuff like that. And the old folks would go for that drink, that cake and those things there. Would find themselves there for the party. But then at the end of the day, they don't know anything about the shares, what shares, they would buy or anything like that. So this press conference remind me of that. But nevertheless, Matt, so you mean to tell me that this man is even fooling Dr. Lennox Honeychurch? You mean Scary is taking everybody for a fool, man, Matt? But because he went to India and they gave him double doctor, whatever fool they made out of him. Right now he's people who with real doctorate who went to school, sat in school and get their doctorate, 7 years, how much years of studying. He's taking them for fools and just have them all about the place. And you listen to Benoit Badwill come in and speak. Wasn't he 9 years couldn't get a matter resolved with some crabback? he's now coming now, like, he's so elegant and these guys are just, they are just hurting Dominica. They are hurting the people, and when you believe it's progress, it's redress. Man, Matt. Anyway, have a good afternoon.
Yes, the Debauch meeting will be carried live on EMBO on Facebook. Some persons have been asking. Yes, it will be carried live on EMBO this afternoon, okay? Somebody's asking whether the money spent on the London site that was highly promoted by Mr. Lennox Honeychurch, did the money went up in smoke? You want to hear the song again? Read the violence in Dominica? Okay. I'll play that for you, huh? Stop and put the guns down. Tomorrow we'll try to explore the issue of guns and crime.
Yeah. Always on the Dominica crying right now. How much pain in the streets. Listen. Sirens in the night, mama can't sleep. Another youth gone, candle on the street. 2 weeks ago, Wesley heart broke down. Young life fades, silence hit the town. Today the news make the nation freeze. Double murder headline, everybody weak. We asking why, what we proving now. Gun talk loud, but love gone quiet somehow. Every trigger pull tear family apart. Every bullet leave a permanent scar. We all bleeding, whether rich or poor. This cycle of violence we can't ignore. Put the guns down, make peace rise up. Dominica hurting, we had enough. Stop the violence, every youth them life. One love, one island, then in strife. Put the guns down, choose a better way. No more mothers crying at the break of day. We need hope now, we need unity. Dominica strong when we live peacefully. You them hungry, system feel tight. No jobs, no vice, just raging at the night. But gonna solve what they create. One bad choice, still a man fate. Brother kill brother over pride and fear. Graveyard full of dreams, never reach the air. Talk it out, put the weapon up.
All right. And that's how we close it up on the Talk on the Block today, okay?